Howdy kids, Hogman here. Listening to 105.9, it's a Christian station here in Edmonton. Awesome to listen to. Nice sunny day out here, but it's officially minus 18. For all my friends that are still out there riding, we're white as can be. Uh-oh, I changed the channel. That's alright, I can click it with my finger. I just balanced this. I've got it in a holder, but the holder, it snaps in and out. The holder bounces because it's not secure. See, when I bounce up and down, and the suspension on this van is euchred, so I need to do shocks and everything. I'll do that once I get back to work doing something. I'm looking in the beginning of the new year to try and get back to work. I've heard rumors that the government of Alberta will pay for me to renew all my tags. I mean, I was worried about that. It's probably USA alone's probably $2,500. There's probably about $6,000 worth of courses that Alberta will pay for, so I can go back to work. And when I have all them tickets, that's all the specialty stuff with vacuum excavation. I mean, even just doing wet wells and stuff like that. And, I mean, there's stuff that you got to know. There's certain guys in excavation that can't combine. See, I run sewer flusher, I run excavator, I run vacuum truck, I run reamer. I work doing hydro poles. I work with directional drills. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that I do, as well as being a child therapist and a counselor for adults and children with addictions or marital problems. And you know, there's so many people in this world that lack the ability to express love, and that's really tough. It's really tough. It's not that they don't love, it's what their conception of love is and what the understanding of love is. You know, I've done some moments and I talk about love. You know, it's easy when you get sidetracked to lose that love and start to get upset, and all kinds of other stuff comes into your psyche. And you know, it's just, it's God's will or your will, and there's a fight between it. You know, there's always a conflict between self-will and God's will, and whether you're willing to turn it over and let God handle it all, and not try and take control and try and make things happen. Things happen for a reason in God's time, in God's doing. Man is so corrupt. Man is so corrupt. Remember that. Fleshly man, earthly, is corrupt. And it's what we do. I mean, we caused all kinds of problems. We have radiation problems coming from into the Pacific Ocean that are killing fish and affecting humans where they live. You know, it's crazy. Yeah, there's bells ringing because people are sending me messages. I just connected the Shaw Open. And yeah, thanks for all the prayers and that. I'm feeling a little bit better, but I've got a flu in my kidneys. And I guess it's caused by getting cold in it, maybe. I'm not sure what the cause is, but I think it may be just cold. You know, I've spent like I told you what I do. I've been in the water and doing wet stuff for most of my life. I've worked in the sewers and I've worked doing excavation with hydro excavation, where you have high pressure water and vacuum to cut holes in dirt and break it up and suck up the slurry, or sucking up board gel, or working over manholes. I mean, you get wet. It's just the nature of our business and what we do. And I have some arthritis problems as a result of it. That's what all my spinal injections were about. Because I've had in 1992, late 91, early 92, I can't remember, I think it was March of 92. I had an accident at work and I broke my spine and damaged 4 vertebrae, and it takes a lot out of you, especially when I'm 50. I'm 50 years old. In April, I'll be 51. But my body has done 100 years of abuse. You know, people say, how can you have done all them things? I started work with my parents. My parents had a jewelry business, and my dad had a couple of businesses over the years. And I started work when I was 8 years old, you know, and I've done so much in so many years. Like even when I was going to school in high school, I worked at 2 part-time jobs, and it was basically if I wasn't at school or sleeping, I was at work. I was working full-time hours by the time I was 15 years old. I was working full-time hours. I'd work from 4 o'clock when I got home from school. I get home from school at 4 o'clock, and I would run across the street. We had a grocery store across the street from where I lived. It was called Nob Hill Farms. And I used to go over to Nob Hill Farms, and I'd work from 9 until 9 o'clock. I'd normally get off the school bus around 3:45, grab a bite, throw my bag and books and everything inside, and then go over to Nob Hill Farms, and I worked till 9, and then I'd take a taxi from there. I mean, being 14, I'd take a taxi to there over to Lancelot's Steakhouse. Great place in Pickering. A buddy of mine, well, he's a buddy now. I'm going to move this camera over this side. He was a friend after I worked underneath him, Nick, at the Lancelot Steakhouse in Pickering, Ontario. The beautiful family. I believe they were Greek, and they started treating me like family when I was very young. You know, I worked there for probably 3 years part-time, and I'd work until close, and I'd do that 3 nights of the week, and then I'd work Saturday and Sunday. Whoa. I had to stop. Somebody came across the walkway there, and I was sliding. In Alberta here, they have the weirdest crosswalks. Somebody can just walk across, and there's no warning. It's just a crosswalk. Well, there's some that have lights, but some of them don't. It's just a crosswalk, you know? And these people in Alberta, they don't salt their roads, so the road is covered in snow and ice with a little bit of sand on it. That's why all these guys out here buy these big penis trucks and pavement princesses. You know, slap them in 4-wheel drive and they think they're invincible. That's why first snow and first ice, you drive down number 2 or along the Yellowhead, you find so many of the 4x4s in the ditch, and I got 2-wheel drive, and I drive by and just laugh. You know, a little bit of snow and they forget. A little bit of ice and they forget how to drive each year. But everybody thinks 4-wheel drive is you're invincible. You know, well, yeah, it handles great in the snow. A little bit of ice, if you lock them tires up, it don't matter whether it's 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, 6-wheel drive, or 18-wheel drive. You know, it don't matter. You're sliding. You're going wherever your inertia takes you. So, anyways, kids, it's been a wonderful ride home. I dropped Rhonda off at her friends. They're going to do some, I don't know, psychic stuff and that. And I'm going back to hang out with my family, you know, and maybe take my mom to the dollar store. So much love and respect. Like I said, thank you for the prayers and all the messages on my picture that I posted. But I got in trouble from my mother-in-law, Rhonda's mom, for being barefoot in the hospital. She's a nurse, so it's the nurse in her, you know. But it's you know what? I believe that God would never put me in that situation, and if He did, it was to maybe strengthen somebody else. God never does anything or allows anything to happen without a good outcome at the end if you follow and walk in His light and His will. So, anyways, God bless you, each and every one of you. Merry Christmas. Merry, Merry, Merry Christmas. And remember the reason for the season. Jesus is always that reason. You know, it's all about Jesus. You know what? It's not about Jesus at Christmas. It's about Jesus every day, you know? When you're called to do His work, His calling is irrevocable. That means if you're called to do a job for Him, you know what? You can go and do your own will for a while, and then you'll crash on your face, and you'll always end up coming back and saying, God, help me. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. You know, sinner saved by grace. By his sacrifice, I am set free. I'm washed clean by the blood of Jesus. Hey, you know what? Jesus. Just repeat that name over and over and over again. There's something about that name, Jesus. It just calms the spirit. Anyways, much love and respect, peeps. And remember, keep your eye on your word, and I'll keep my eye on the road. And you just had Booster Juice with the Bishop.